Every morning before the school bus arrived, a skinny kid in Collingswood, New Jersey, would sprint home from wherever he was hiding, heart pounding, stomach sick, because he knew what was waiting outside his bedroom window. His mother had hung his urine-stained bed sheets out the window again, timed perfectly, so every kid on the bus could see them every single morning. For years, that boy's name was Eugene Maurice Orowitz, and his mother didn't just hang his sheets. She chased him with a knife through the neighborhood. She sat on the sofa in her nightgown, holding a Bible, asking God to kill him. She once walked into the ocean to drown herself, and her son, who couldn't even swim, had to drag her out and punch her in the face to stop her. That boy grew up to become the most beloved father in the history of American television. 3 iconic series, 28 consecutive years of primetime, 22 TV guide covers, 9 children from 3 marriages, and a death at 54 that made an entire nation weep. But here's what America never knew. The man who played the perfect dad on screen was a chain-smoking, wild turkey-drinking, Ferrari-driving husband who cheated on 2 wives and built on camera the family he never had in real life. His name was Michael Landon, and his story is far more complicated than the Prairie. Here are 10 moments that reveal who he really was. Number 1, the mother who asked God to kill her own son, Eugene Maurice Orowitz, was born on October 31st, 1936, Halloween, in Forest Hills, Queens, New York. His father, Eli Maurice Orowitz, was a Jewish American who worked as a publicist, radio announcer, and movie theater manager. His mother, Peggy O'Neill, was an Irish Catholic former Broadway dancer who suffered from severe untreated mental illness. The household was a war zone. Landon described his mother in a 1985 interview with words that still shock. Quote, "She was a stabber, a kicker, and a wacko. She was off her rocker." End quote. She could be charming to strangers, which made the private abuse even more disorienting. Quote, "I could do all the bad things, fail a grade, skip school for weeks, and she wouldn't say a word. But if I drank milk out of a bottle, she'd drop kick me all over the kitchen." End quote. The family moved to Collingswood, New Jersey in 1941. They were one of only 2 Jewish families in a largely Protestant town. Young Eugene endured anti-Semitic slurs shouted from passing cars. He had a bar mitzvah at a conservative synagogue and biking to a nearby town daily to learn Hebrew. And according to his co-star, Allison Arngrim's memoir, his own mother pulled him out of the bar mitzvah celebration to sneer, quote, "I just want you to know that when you were a baby, I had you baptized. So this is all just a big joke," end quote. She staged multiple suicide attempts in front of her children. During a family beach vacation, she walked straight into the ocean. Eugene, who couldn't swim, grabbed her and punched her repeatedly in the face to stop her from drowning. His father just stood there. 45 minutes later, Peggy acted as if nothing had happened. And then there were the sheets. Landon wet the bed until approximately age 14, a stress response to the chaos at home. His mother's remedy was public humiliation. Every morning, she hung his urine-stained sheets outside his bedroom window, timed perfectly so the school bus would pull up and every classmate could see them. Every single morning, he would sprint home each afternoon to tear them down. This experience haunted him so deeply that 20 years later, he turned it into a television movie called The Loneliest Runner. That terrified boy with the wet sheets hanging in the window was about to become Michael Landon. But first, he needed a miracle, and it came from the most unlikely place imaginable. Number 2, the javelin throw that changed everything. At Collingswood High School, Eugene Orowitz deliberately destroyed his academic career. Despite a tested IQ of 159, he graduated near the bottom of his class, second or third from last in a class of 301 students. He accumulated 200 outstanding detentions. He was trying to survive by becoming popular, fighting, failing, performing dangerous stunts, anything to make people forget the kid with the wet sheets. Then one day in gym class, a teacher brought the students outside to throw an old metal javelin, and something happened. Landon recalled it as the moment that changed his life, quote, completely and forever, end quote. When it came his turn, he threw that javelin the length of the field and into the stands at the other end, at least 30 feet farther than anyone else. His coach, Maury Dickinson, recognized raw talent. And here's the detail that sounds insane but is completely true. After seeing the movie Samson and Delilah starring Victor Mature, young Eugene grew his hair long, genuinely believing that, like the biblical Samson, it gave him strength. Quote, "I saw Samson and Delilah and got the idea that if I let my hair grow long, it would make me strong. And I still believe it did," end quote. By graduation in 1954, he had set what was described as a national high school javelin record, reported at 193 feet, 4 inches. He won a scholarship to the University of Southern California. The dream was Olympic glory, followed by movie stardom like Buster Crabbe. But at USC, his teammates attacked him and cut off his hair. Stripped of his psychological confidence, his throws shortened by 50 feet. Desperately trying to compensate, he tore his shoulder ligaments. The athletic career was over permanently. A kid with a tested IQ of 159, a broken shoulder, and a mother who asked God to kill him was now standing in Los Angeles with no plan, no degree, no prospects. And then he walked into a gas station across from Warner Brothers Studios. Number 3, the phone book, the werewolf, and a name that changed history. Working at that gas station in Burbank, Landon was spotted by a talent agent. But here's how he actually got discovered. A warehouse co-worker asked Landon to help him audition at Warner Brothers by reading opposite him in a scene. Landon agreed, and during the reading, he started crying profusely, drawing on childhood memories that were never far from the surface. The studio signed Landon, not his friend, but there was a problem. Quote, Eugene Maurice Orowitz, end quote, wasn't going to fit on a marquee in 1950s Hollywood. He first tried Michael Lane, but the Screen Actors Guild said the name was taken. So he opened a phone book, ran his finger down the page, and landed on Landon, echoing Alf Landon, the 1936 presidential candidate. Michael Landon was born from a phone book. His breakout came in 1957 with a B-movie called I Was a Teenage Werewolf. It was produced for just $82,000 and shot in 7 days. It grossed approximately $2 million, a staggering 24-to-1 return. And Landon's brooding performance caught the eye of a producer named David Dortort. Dortort's wife picked up a publicity still of the young actor and convinced her initially reluctant husband to cast the unknown 22-year-old as Little Joe Cartwright on a new Western. The show was called Bonanza. 14 seasons, 431 episodes, and The Father He Never Had, Bonanza premiered on NBC on September 12, 1959. It would run for 14 seasons and 431 episodes, becoming the most popular series of the 1960s. Landon appeared in 416 of them. The show was revolutionary. It was the first full-hour Western filmed in color, a deliberate strategy by NBC's parent company, RCA, to sell color television sets. Initially buried on Saturday nights and finishing 45th in the ratings, it was moved to Sunday at 9 p.m. and rocketed to number 1 in the Nielsen ratings for 3 consecutive seasons. Even Queen Elizabeth confided to the cast that she and her children were faithful viewers. But here's what mattered most to Michael Landon. Lorne Greene, who played patriarch Ben Cartwright, became a genuine father figure to him. Oh, the father he never had. Producer David Dortort observed in 1965 that both Landon and Dan Blocker approached Greene with personal problems, quote, as if he were really their father, end quote. Years later, when Greene lay dying on September 11th, 1987, Landon visited him one final time. He took Greene's hand, and the old man, barely able to speak, slowly began to arm wrestle the way they used to on the Ponderosa. He broke into a smile and nodded, and everything was okay. Dan Blocker, who played Hoss, was Landon's closest friend. They spent 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. together, 5 days a week, for 14 years. Landon told a reporter they ran out of jokes by the 7th year, then realized they'd forgotten the ones from year 1, so they started all over again. Blocker's death on May 13th A 1972 from a pulmonary embolism following routine gallbladder surgery devastated Landon. 14 scripts already written for Blocker had to be discarded. NBC moved the show, ratings collapsed, and Bonanza was canceled with virtually no notice. And for the rest of his career, whenever Michael Landon needed to cry for a scene, whether on Little House or Highway to Heaven, he would think of Dan Blocker. That's all it took, every time. Number 5. The man who learned to write on a yellow tablet with a pencil. Here's what most people don't know about Michael Landon. He didn't just act on Bonanza, he quietly transformed himself into a writer and director while the cameras were rolling. The origin story is remarkable. When producers told him there were no suitable scripts for the following week, Landon drove home, thought about it, and wrote his first teleplay over the weekend on a yellow tablet with a pencil. It was called The Gamble, about the Cartwrights being blamed for a bank robbery. Producer Dortert could not believe his eyes. By the end of Bonanza, Landon had authored approximately 20 teleplays and directed over a dozen episodes. He was learning, systematically, deliberately, how to control every aspect of a television production. This was the real education of Michael Landon, not USC, not acting classes, a yellow tablet and a pencil on a weekend. And it was this education, not his acting, that would make him the most powerful creator in family television. Number 6, building the perfect family on screen, because he never had one in real life. After Bonanza was canceled, Landon was offered 36 crime series, 6 medical shows, and 1 science fiction concept. He rejected every single one. Instead, a producer named Ed Friendly sent him a screenplay based on Laura Ingalls Wilder's beloved books. Landon agreed to direct on one condition. He would also play Charles Ingalls. The pilot aired March 30th, 1974, and became a massive hit. When Friendly pushed for strict faithfulness to the books, Landon pushed back. NBC sided with Landon. Friendly departed, and Michael Landon assumed total creative control. Executive producer, writer, director, star. Every decision flowed through one man. The series ran for 9 seasons and approximately 205 episodes. Landon directed roughly 90 of them and wrote about 48. He ran the set like a benevolent patriarch, insisting production wrapped by 5 p.m. so everyone could eat dinner with their families. Think about that. The boy whose mother hung his wet sheets in the window, the boy who never had a real family dinner, built an entire production schedule around making sure other families could have theirs. His relationship with Melissa Gilbert, who played Laura, became one of television's great stories. Gilbert was 9 years old when she beat more than 500 child actresses for the role. When her adoptive father died by suicide in 1976, Landon stepped in as a father figure. Our relationship was very close, and it grew even deeper when my father passed away. Our families got close. We went on vacation to Hawaii together every Easter. His son, Mike Jr., was my prom date." End quote. She later named her son Michael in his honor, but Landon's relationship with Karen Grassel, who played Caroline, was more complicated. When Grassel asked for a raise after the show became a top 10 hit, Landon resisted. When she pressed, he retaliated by cutting her scenes and making crude jokes to humiliate her. She later described it as a campaign to break her down. They eventually reconciled before his death. "We mended fences. I just felt there was a lot of forgiveness from both sides." End quote. Number 7, the scandal that cracked the perfect image. For years, Michael Landon appeared in Kodak commercials alongside his second wife Lynn and their children, the picture-perfect American family, Pa Ingalls at home. The nation believed it. Then, around 1980, Landon began an affair with Cindy Clerico, a young stand-in and makeup artist on the Little House set. She was in her early 20s. He was in his mid-40s. Karen Grassel witnessed it unfold. They began to walk further away from the action, engrossed in conversation and each other. It was awkward as hell for us in the company. Everyone saw, everyone looked away. End quote. The affair became national tabloid news in 1981. Landon lost the Kodak contract. Deeply ironic, given the ad's entire premise. The divorce from Lynn reportedly cost him approximately $26 million. Lynn told People magazine, quote, "I was too busy being the kind of wife he wanted me to be. I lost myself little by little. I made Michael my god, end quote. Melissa Gilbert, who had loved Landon like a father, was devastated. She cut him out of her life. Quote, in public, Mike was seen as a pillar of morality and family values, a real-life incarnation of Charles Ingalls. The public believed it. So did my mother. And to some extent, so did I. Then, bada bing, the picture cracked, end quote. Landon married Cindy on Valentine's Day, 1983, at his Malibu beach house. They had 2 children, Jennifer and Sean. He was unapologetic, quote, like my work or don't like my work, but don't live my life. It's not yours, end quote. He and Gilbert eventually reconciled, but the wholesome image never fully recovered. Number 8, Highway to Heaven, Victor French and the Angel Born. From Road Rage, Landon's final series was born from the most unlikely inspiration. Quote, I was driving through Beverly Hills to pick up my kids on a Friday night, and people were honking at each other. And I thought, why is everybody so angry? End quote. The result was Highway to Heaven, in which Landon played Jonathan Smith, a probationary angel sent to Earth to help people. His partner was Victor French, his closest friend in the business, playing cynical human companion Mark Gordon. French and Landon had been inseparable since meeting on the Bonanza set in the early 1960s. Landon created the role of Isaiah Edwards on Little House specifically for French. And when NBC pushed for a younger, more handsome actor for Highway to Heaven, Landon held firm. French acknowledged, quote, the network wanted a name actor, but Michael stood by his guns. That role changed my career. Michael is really my angel, end quote. The show ran 5 seasons and 111 episodes. It tackled homelessness, disability rights, racism, and cancer. And Landon hired real cancer patients and people with disabilities to appear on screen. Then, cancer came for Victor French. Diagnosed with advanced lung cancer in March 1989, French died on June 15, 1989, at age 54. At the funeral, which French himself planned in meticulous detail, with a strict rule that no one was allowed to cry or they'd be thrown out, Charlotte Stewart recalled what happened next. Quote, Mike Landon, who was a very emotional guy and had been Victor's dear friend, was standing next to me and grabbed my hand and hung on for dear life. I've never seen a man fight tears so hard, end quote. Victor French was 54. Remember that number. Number 9, the man behind the myth, vodka in the coffee, 4 packs a day, and a Ferrari on the Prairie. Here's the Michael Landon that never made it into the Kodak commercials. He spiked his coffee with vodka on set. He kept wild turkey flowing at all hours. His co-star, Allison Arngrim, remembered, quote, you would never suspect he'd been swilling wild turkey all morning. He was so keyed up and energetic, you'd think he was on an amphetamine IV, end quote. He chain-smoked 4 packs of unfiltered cigarettes daily. During his Bonanza years, he developed a Valium addiction so severe he was taking 50 to 60 pills per day. He never wore underwear under his Prairie trousers. He arrived on set in an unbuttoned shirt with gold chains, driving a Ferrari, then transformed into humble Pa Ingalls within minutes. Arngrim captured the contradiction perfectly. Quote, he smoked, drank, swore, told horrible jokes, never wore underwear, and celebrated the end of the season by taking us all to the racetrack, end quote. He once had an actual elephant delivered to Dan Blocker's house as a prank. He created a fake restaurant menu featuring cat-themed dishes to torture Johnny Carson. He got a chest toupee applied while courting Cindy because she mentioned she liked chest hair. This was the real Michael Landon. Not a saint, not a villain, a deeply complicated man who channeled his own damage into stories that made millions of people feel safe. He admitted it openly. Quote, I'm not like Charles Ingalls. I played an idealized version of what I wished a father could be, end quote. The boy with the wet sheets hanging in the window spent his entire career building the father he never had. And America loved that father so deeply that they forgot he was a performance. Number 10, 87 Days, Johnny Carson and the Hair in a Coffin. In early April 1991, Michael Landon experienced severe abdominal pain during a ski trip in Utah. Back in Los Angeles, a CT scan on April 5th revealed a massive tumor. A biopsy at Cedars-Sinai confirmed inoperable pancreatic cancer that had already spread to his liver. He was 54 years old, the same age Victor French had been when he died. 3 days later, Landon held a press conference at his Malibu ranch. He joked throughout, quote, "If you're going to try to beat something, you're not going to do it standing in the corner," end quote. He tried 1 round of chemotherapy, then holistic treatments. A follow-up CT scan showed the cancer had doubled in size in 3 weeks. His final television appearance came on May 9th, 1991, The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He received a standing ovation. The performance was vintage Landon, defiant humor masking unimaginable pain. He joked about his hair, quote, "2 blood transfusions and I got my roots done," end quote. He mocked the absurd cure suggestions flooding his mailbox, dolphins swimming, and more sex. Quote, "Here I am, going to all these hospitals. I only got to go to Marineland," end quote. But then he turned serious. The tabloids were splashing countdown to death headlines, where his children, Jennifer, 7, and Sean, 4, could see them at grocery checkout lines. His voice dropped. Quote, "That's the cancer in our society," end quote. Melissa Gilbert, watching at home, noticed something devastating. When Carson invited his other guest back for an August appearance, and Landon agreed, Gilbert nearly burst into tears because she realized that Landon knew there was no chance he'd be back. In June, he appeared on the cover of Life magazine. The headline read, "If I'm gonna die, death's gonna have to fight to get me." And in that interview, he delivered the words that would outlive everything else he ever said. Quote, "Somebody should tell us, right at the start of our lives, that we are dying. Then we might live life to the limit, every minute of every day. Do it, I say. Whatever you want to do it now. There are only so many tomorrows," end quote. Michael Landon died at 1:20 p.m. on Monday, July 1st, 1991, at his Malibu home. He was 54. Only Cindy was at his side. His last words to his gathered family were, quote, "I love you all very much, but would you all go downstairs and give me some time with Cindy," end quote. From diagnosis to death, 87 days, 500 mourners attended his private funeral at Hillside Memorial Park in Culver City. Former President Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan were there. Melissa Gilbert eulogized him, quote, "He was so special and so basically good. With him, you always knew exactly where you stood," end quote. His daughter Leslie read a poem he had written for a Little House episode, quote, "Remember me with smiles and laughter, for that is how I will remember you all. If you can only remember me with tears, then don't remember me at all," end quote. He joked near the end that his body would be gone, but his hair would survive. Quote, "My whole body will be gone. It will just be hair in a coffin," end quote. His widow Cindy confirmed he had his roots done right to the very end. Born Eugene Maurice Orowitz, the boy with the wet sheets in the window, the kid who couldn't swim but dragged his drowning mother from the ocean, the javelin thrower who lost everything when they cut his hair, a werewolf at 20, Little Joe at 22, Pa Ingalls for 9 seasons, an angel for 5 more, a father of 9 children, a husband 3 times, a man who drank too much, smoked too much, loved too hard, and controlled everything he touched. He built the family he never had, on camera for 30 years, and gave it to a nation that needed it as badly as he did. The records exist. 431 episodes of Bonanza are preserved. 205 episodes of Little House stand exactly where he left them. 111 episodes of Highway to Heaven still air in reruns across the world. And that Tonight Show appearance, the one where a dying man made an entire studio audience laugh, remains one of the most extraordinary moments in the history of American television. No one believed in Michael Landon until Hollywood had absolutely no choice.